another exciting episode of the Failure Diaries, TFD, and I'm your co-host, Precious Kate. Today, as usual, we bring in interesting guests. And for our first-time viewers, we want to say thank you for joining us. And for our returning audience and returning viewers, you are our heartbeats. You are our community. We're here because of you. Today, we have an interesting guest. And with me, first of all,
Ayo Bankole. It's good to be here again. Hi, guys. How you doing? So today, we have a very amazing individual. You know, he's a table shaker. He's an influencer. He's helped generations of people in terms of career. He's an astute businessman. I can assure you are going to have a great time today. You know, ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Jarus. You know, Mr. Suraj. Oyewale, right? Oyewale now. That's your son name.
Correct.
Yes, Suraj Oyewale, you know, but it's generally called Jarus. You know, Jarus is a very great friend. He's a fantastic man, you know, has thousands of very loyal, you know, followers. I'm sure a lot of people will be very excited about this. And, you know, there's this general feeling that Jarus has things going on for him. You know, when he advises people, they say, oh, you are opportune, you are privileged, you were this, you were that. And people don't see the back end of your challenges, your struggles over the years. So we brought you here to let people see the other side, you know, so that people will know that, look, when I'm giving you this advice, I'm giving you from real life, you know. So Jarus, please tell us, how did you start off? What do you do first and foremost? For those who don't know, you don't let's assume that everybody does.
Yeah, thanks, Ayo. Thanks, Precious. I'm happy to join you on this podcast. And it's quite fantastic because a lot of us tell success stories, and a lot of other people, it's always important that we also share the failures behind the success and how we're able to convert it and learn some lessons from it. So my name is Suraj. I'm more known as Jarus. I am many things. I mean, it's quite difficult for me to describe myself. A businessman, a career counselor for the younger folks, a footballer, you know, people call me exactly, you know, play football.
You're a footballer.
Quite active on social media. I mean, people call me an influencer of sorts, and you know, I had many years in 9-to-5 career where I worked in some, you know, a couple of industries, and I speak so, you know, well of those industries because I believe people that need to follow that path also need to be guided, and I you know, spend a generous amount of my time to guide them. And so that's been in brief. It's quite difficult for me to say what exactly I'm a businessman, but I think I've been addressed as a businessman is perhaps the most apt description of me now.
So how did you get here? How did you evolve into the man Jarus? What were there challenges on the journey? Tell us your story in brief and how you got here in terms of what were the flashpoints of challenges. At what point did you wanted to say, man, this thing I'm not doing again? Or what were the biggest issues that you had along your journey?
Okay, I mean, I've had a number of you know, challenges at different phases of my life. And I think the first time I had what I could consider a challenge was when I changed school in primary school. I attended a public school up to primary two and in Akwara State, and I moved to a private school in 1990. And I mean, you know, somebody that came from the background of a public school where it was you could hardly speak English, and now thrown into the environment of students, and I mean, exactly, everybody speaking English.
It was a struggle.
To speak English in class, I was the most gentle. You should not speak vernacular. And where I came from, that was vernacular. I mean, so that was the first challenge I can recall. Like, so you know, having to adapt into that environment. So you're one of those children that they say,
excuse that.
Exactly. I mean, so that was the first, you know, I mean, but I caught along. I mean, I made friends with my fellow, you know, somebody I realized was in my shoes, but I'd been in school. I mean, and at the point, by the time I graduated from that same primary school, you know, I was one of the top 3 students. I was able to, you know, I did not let that one weigh me down. I still adapted, and you know, I did what I needed
primary
to do.
2. That's a very early.
I mean, by the time I finished in the primary,
that's less than 5 or 6
I
or
mean,
something.
exactly. You know, so by the time I finished that primary school, I ended as the 3rd best student in common entrance, and I was able to overcome that. And I mean, that was the first challenge I could say I experienced. Then, when I got to secondary school, the very first exam I wrote, external exam I wrote, was GC in 1999 SS2. So I had D7 in English language. Okay. And I wrote it in SS2, not the normal time you're meant to write in SS. I wrote it, you know, a trial exam in SS2. And I had a D7 in English, and I knew that was not going to be enough for me to, to gain the medication and all of that. And I had this very good friend of mine, a more brilliant guy, Michael Taiwo Femi. Is we were all schoolmates. Was the best in our set. He came to me and told me, Suraj, this GC you wrote, you had A1, that subject, except English, you had this. We only needed to put in little more effort in the work we were meant to do in the next 6 months. And before you know it, you're going to, you find yourself, in a better position. Okay. I wrote it. I put in the effort based on the encouragement of this, my young friend, who were just 17, 18 at that time. And I got in, I got all my full results when I wrote my work in SS3. Okay. So that was, I was able to surmount that challenge.
That challenge at that time.
Exactly. So I wrote JAMB 2. I got into University OAU. And, I was happy to still do quite well. I had the same, minor setback in OAU too, because of I came from Kwara State, where it was most of the students came from Lagos, Ibadan, and the cities, and some of them was coming from it. So I felt a little bit impostor syndrome. Oh boy, these are people that attended Queen's College, King's College.
True that, especially back then.
Exactly,
yes.
And that was me coming from a grammar school, where even what's that going to happen? When we started writing tests and exams, and I realized, these guys I thought were better than I. I was beating them in school. In the test result. That was also gave me the confidence to surmount that imposter syndrome I faced at the early stage of my years in the university. And I went on to, fortunately, finish one of the best students in my class with the first class degree in economics again. So I was always starting on that note of, I was going to on that fearful note, on that intimidating note. But most times I end up, being one of the top of virtually all my endeavors. So so I've noticed that trend, and it's something that has continued even after university. So so these are the challenges of course I've faced some specific industries. I don't know whether you have some, you want me to just go through them, or
please go through up until when you got here.
Good. So when I got to the when I started working, when I came to Lagos, my first job was a pre-NYC job in a company called Vetiva Capital Management, one of the investment management firms. I got the job pre-NYC, and I got in again. We had people that could speak the best of English, people that schooled in London, people that schooled, and that was me that was coming from OAU. And again, I'll find myself in that situation again of, how will I speak? All these phone people are speaking me. I am me. It's my own English. It was a little bit, challenging to settle down.
I can just imagine.
So I was always starting on that level. But unfortunately, I didn't spend much time. I spent only 3 months before I went for my NYC in Sokoto. I came back. I joined the Wando PSC. Again, I joined the Wando as an accountant. Meanwhile, I studied economics in school. I just started writing ICANN exam. At that time, I just finished the first level of ICANN exam. And, being given the first job of being an accounting job, and that was me. That was, how would I do this job? I was just starting, right? I passed the ICANN exam. The first one, I passed it, and in fact, I was the top in Nigeria. I won but there was a difference between writing something in the exam
and putting it into practice.
No, that thing you said, don't say it slowly. Let's say it. You were among the ones.
Actually,
bragging right.
Exactly. So when I wrote my first ICANN exam using my NYC, I wrote my first ICANN exam. I topped the country. Foundation, I was the best candidate.
Wow.
I got the prize and all of that.
Wow.
But I got the job in Ando on that basis.
Right.
But that was me. That was
No
only
experience.
Practice is usually different.
It get to so it was mechanical for me. It was mechanical for me, and I struggled a little. I struggled not even a little. I struggled a lot to get to the accounting principles far from the exams I was writing. So I had a couple of friends that I used to take some more experienced guys, like the guys that had been in the system 1 or 2 years before I came in. And TJ. One of them was TJ. TJ, I beg, show me this thing. Now then there is journal for for this journal and all of that. The first audit I did in 2008, in the first audit, PwC was our auditor. The guys came in, Emeka, shout out to you if you are listening to this. That was the guy from PwC. They audited me. Boy, you don't cook beans for this. They
told you in confidence.
Don't cook this accounting.
Wow.
Don't do jello. That was my first experience, and I felt this accounting for me. Like this really accounting really for me, but I need the theory, but the practical part was boring too,
And I'm sure this is resonating with a lot of young accountants.
Exactly. I mean, so I went through it and I qualified the chartered accountant a couple of years later. I was still working, and I knew what this work was paying my bill, was paying my salary. I needed to give everything I needed to do to make it work.
Yes.
Okay, not exactly the most glamorous of works, but I still was able to, I was getting by, and later I moved to another company called Seven Energy, which is I saw that back in the newspaper. I applied, I got the job. It was tax role, and I came in and I decided to focus. I now decided to focus on the aspect of accounting that has to do with policy.
Okay.
Tax and policy.
So you were tax focused in Seven Energy.
Yes, tax focused exactly, nice. And that was more fun. And and
you were more comfortable in that space.
Exactly, what is the impact of tax on
government? So even all the 3 or how many years in Orlando, you still were not totally comfortable with accounting.
I wasn't.
Wow.
I still don't like accounting as I'm thinking with it. But I did it for 14 years because I needed to do it. I understood it. I needed to do it, but it was boring. I was paying the bill. That was the best. I was working on an account environment, and I don't like accounting even till now. I'm an FC. I'm one of the highest levels of accounting you can be. But but it's just too boring for me. So that's why I don't even talk about public. I don't talk much about accounting. Like I talk about things that come naturally to me.
Yes.
Like
things like career, like policy.
I find those ones more fun. Accounting a little bit more boring, but I needed to do the work and and get by. So I was able to I needed to do what I needed to do, and I got to Seven Energy. I started to move away from I still needed to do accounting, small accounting anyway, but I started to do the policy, analyzing the Petroleum Industry Act, the tax rules, and all of those things. And I worked in Seven Energy and Savannah Energy for 10 years, and there was a change of leadership. In the last company I worked, we didn't get along with some of the leadership team. And it wasn't a great moment for me in that last time. And I took a major decision that I wanted to quit, and because I felt like coming to work on a daily basis and having to experience some frictions with some of your. I had great bosses. Okay, that bosses are great bosses. I was close to even the CEO in London, and because I was close, but a particular individual that was my superior, but we're not getting so much along, and I felt like my honor, my pride was also very important to me, and I would say that was even the biggest part of my career, like the biggest challenge I've set back. I've actually faced in my career, because at that time I needed to make a decision between earning good salary. I was earning top salary, working in an oil and gas company, rising fast in that company. I had the best, the fastest promotion among the staff. Oil and gas company to get promotion is not easy.
It's very hard.
5-10 years to come.
Those guys are ridiculous. I work in oil and gas. It's a ridiculous place.
But you don't. I won't call it ridiculous. I said different. But it's just that
some of them are ridiculous.
So I was fortunate to be getting promotion every 3 years and all of that. I think there are some elements of envy among some couple of people and all of that, and there was some frictions, and I needed to just take that bold decision to quit. And I sent an email to one of the partners, because of my work as a tax person. I had met the partners in all the big four, all the big four. I knew the partners in all of them. So I picked my February 2022 rather. I picked I drafted an email to all the partners I knew in Ernst & Young, in PY, in Deloitte, in PwC, and all of that. And Taiwo Idele, may God bless that man, currently the president or chairperson of the Taiwo Idele, chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Committee. Okay, I sent him an email too. He was in London and he saw me and he said, Suraj, I saw your letter, I saw your email to me that you said you wanted to join Big Four, having spent some years in the industry. Okay, I'll be in London, I'll be in Lagos next week. I'm in London at the moment. Let's catch up for dinner. We caught up. So of all the Big Four people I wrote emails to that wanted to move from the industry to Big Four, because I was tired of the industry. He was the first person that actually,
Taiwo is a very
fantastic man.
Taiwo is an exceptional human being.
Fantastic man. So I sat down we had a meeting in Twins Tower. Twins Water in Lekki here. And we had a dinner on his bill. He paid for it, and he told me, okay. okay, I mean, he told me everything. I told him about my story, my journey. He had known me before.
Okay.
He's very active on social media, so he knows me
Yes,
that
yes. So he follows you.
And we share the interest of. He's also very big on, supporting younger people.
Yeah, he is very, very big.
So
his story too. I mean, we should find a way to get Taiwo on this show. He also has a very interesting.
So he sees me in that light, so like somebody that is always trying to support the younger generation of people. So he's known me from afar, from distance. I mean,
so
he's also met me. Exactly.
Because I also was a teacher. I can't teacher. Exactly. And all of that.
So I mean, so when he sat down with me, he said, okay, no problem. PwC should be subject to your performance in interview. You should be able to get into PwC. But I applied for actually director position, which is the level below partner. But he said something. It would have been tough. He said something that, okay, you didn't have any consulting experience. All your experience are in the industry. Exactly. Okay. But so you can, subject to your doing well in interview with other partners and the human capital department, you can join us, but we will not be able to give you associate director you're asking for because it requires just beyond the knowledge of tax.
Yeah, it's not just knowledge.
Exactly, relationship management.
Yes, now even Naira and Kobo bringing clients and all those things.
Are very important. Instead, they could not give me, but they could give me. So they gave me a senior manager position in PwC. I joined PwC, from oil and gas. I joined PwC, and so when I was leaving the oil and gas industry, I was paid some exit money. It didn't come easily because there were some forces that wanted to just deny me that money, but I was able to. They always forces.
This was an interesting. I'm surprised he's coming up with it by himself because I was going to ask. Yeah. It became very crazy. It came on social media and all that at that time.
There were some forces that actually wanted to deny me that that entitlement. But maybe not the best way I managed it. Because it became a social media channel, but at the end of it, we went back to the negotiation table, negotiated, and I got my entitlement, and I used that money to start a real estate company by the side.
Oh.
I used it to buy land. I did the trade and I started marketing on social media. So when I joined PwC, I had the money I got for. I took a pay cut to join PwC as a senior manager.
Of course, you must have taken a pay cut.
Like half of my salary, it was still like millions, but like I took a pay cut to join PwC because PwC could not afford, what
PwC doesn't pay.
It's not like any oil and gas company.
So you found more peace, even though the money was not enough.
Exactly. So I met fantastic PwC. Working with Taiwo was a privilege for me.
Yeah,
privilege for me and all of those things. So by the side, I knew that this salary was never going to be enough to sustain my lifestyle. So I used the money I got as payout for my oil and gas industry last company to set up a real estate company by the side.
But that's the first. I don't know anybody who can actually leave where good money.
Oh yeah, so
sometimes
that's why we're having this conversation because people need to know that it's not every time you put money first.
You put money first.
Yeah.
It's not every time you put. There are some monies that take away your peace of mind.
Exactly.
And there are some times when the money is good, but you look at it that my peace of mind, I need to make this trade. So a lot of times those trade needs to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of times because of what's going on social media right now, where everybody's all about money.
Yeah.
People are in money, but at the cost of their peace of mind. But social media,
I'm telling you,
it's that every time. Money.
There's always a new standard every day.
There's a standard every day. It is. So I took a pay cut to join PwC as a senior manager, and but I said this was never going to.
It wasn't sustainable.
School fees was. I needed to pay school fees. I needed to have extended family to send money to. When
you had a lifestyle.
You had already set it. Yes, now if you had started that way, maybe you would have coped.
Exactly.
So I now used money to start a real estate business by this. Before I knew it, due to the network I'd been able to build along the line, the real estate company blew beyond what I expected.
Wow.
And within a few months, we're talking about, $1 billion in revenue in the first, project, first on the project and all of that. And then at that time, I now went to Taiwo again and told him that 1 year after.
Sorry.
When I was,
you have tried for me, but
you have tried for when you were interviewing me. I said all the things in this world. I'm coming to the PwC. All the experience. Hey, I want to learn under you. But come on. But I'm sorry, I have to go.
I'm proud.
Thank you for the opportunity. And so I quit PwC exactly after a year, and I went to face that real estate business.
Exactly.
The time I spoke to also left like 2 months later when he got government job. So it's not everybody.
Well, Taiwo says he's not paid, but
he's not paid. But
it's still a job.
It's
a bigger platform.
It's a bigger platform. And he also left because
bigger impact.
Exactly, back impact. Exactly. So sometimes so that goes
beyond money.
It's beyond money. It's beyond money.
That also made that
it's beyond money.
One person in PwC Africa. to take a government position and all of that. So sometimes you need that trade-off. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know how he felt when I told him I was quitting PwC for my business that was going beyond my expectation. I mean, because it felt like this man, when I was interviewing you last year, you were telling me all the promise of this one. Oh, you wanted to build the PwC energy tax and all of those things. I mean,
I'm happy you're even confessing to you.
But come on,
I don't think he's the only one guilty of that. I mean, who doesn't see anything for interviews?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you needed to live where you were.
He was pressed, so he had to say things.
And to be honest, not as if you didn't mean it. Exactly.
I meant because I didn't know. So I started the real estate company by the side, just
thinking it should just be working. Small.
You blew, and I realized that come on, let me just. I think I need to face this thing fully, otherwise it might die. So let me use the opportunity for good. So that was how I started.
So did you find happiness in the billions?
I mean, that's revenue, not profit.
It's not profit.
I know, but I mean, did you find happiness?
I mean, you see people handing keys to people. We've finished 70 houses in the past, I mean, we've given keys to people.
When are you going to give me my own key now?
Don't worry, bring money. And when I define that, bring money.
I can't afford you.
You're liking money.
I can't afford you. I'm going through a lot.
You can afford too. So I mean, so that's where it is. So sometimes
don't forget to buy cars from Kachiko.
Not a problem. I mean, it's a partnership. So that was how the journey went, and how So essentially, it was going to that phase of leaving oil and gas industry to take a 50% pay cut to join PwC was a big setback.
I can just imagine what
I felt like my honor was more important. Yeah. My peace of mind was more important, and great company, great people. Great CEO, but a couple of folks that we didn't get along well, and I know myself too that sometimes it's better for me to just quit and all of that. So that story it's actually served as a platform for me to get where I am
launch
today.
pad,
Exactly.
Where I am today. So sometimes some of those setbacks could easily be. I don't think I would have been. If I still continue to come, maybe I would have been head of it, but I'm not sure I would.
Where you are right
where I am today in terms of 95 is great. I look great, but ultimately where I am is a businessman today. I think I'm better off. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't take that bold leap at that time, who knows?
Exactly.
Honestly, so I have two questions. First is why consulting? Why didn't you go to another energy company? Why didn't you go to bank? Why didn't you go to those would have been able to match your compensation.
I'm never a fan of banks. So bank was out of the situation. Because I had my experience in the oil and gas industry, very liberal environment, especially very liberal environment, and I've been used to one kind of work culture. With due respect to banks, things I hear about bank about very high pressure very environment, toxic, very harsh. Some of them very toxic. In fact, I don't want to mention names, but one of the issues. One of the companies I didn't have a good time with towards the end was because the infiltration of people from bank.
Yeah, I experienced that too.
You experienced that too. So you do respect to the fine bankers we have, all of that, but I think the culture is not something that aligns with my own background. Yes. So bank was not. Imagine dealing with one or two bankers, and you're having that kind of old world kind of crash on you. Now. Going to the ocean of that, I was so banking was never part of my. Then other energy company, I felt like I would have gotten if because I had a very short window to exit the organization, and I felt like consulting did not need consulting is there always in need of people.
Yes, turnover is faster.
People leave, people jump every time. So I knew my surest bet was Big Four. So I focused on Big Four, and and I got it within weeks. A matter of it, I got it. Wow, the first one I came was.
And I think you had always also had a keen interest in the Big Four.
Consulting.
You had helped people.
Even when I always speak well of them because I guided people because I know that they are one of the best places to work, best training, best training you can get, best merit-based recruitment. So I knew that. Wow. So I speak well of them. So most of them knew me right from time. Yes. Most of them knew that this guy that's always talking about us in good light. So joining us will be a good advantage to us. In fact, I remember the very first time I joined PwC, the day they introduced me at the tax line of service meeting, the chat box. We had a virtual meeting. The chat box was, "Hey, Sajay," like most of a lot of the job they knew me. Yeah. They knew me because so it was like a homecoming for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't spend more than 1 year there, but it was a good time for me, and I'm happy for the opportunity to to spend a
to
year
have
in such
experienced
an
that.
organization.
From what you've said, starting from you as a child, from your primary school up to your secondary school, I've listened to you and I've seen how you're resilient.
Yeah.
Because like that is something I really want to bring out,
Yeah.
and magnify. Let's not put it under the carpet, because from a young age, being put where you thought people were bigger than you, they could speak better than you, and thriving.
Yeah.
In your secondary school, you had the same thing and you're thriving. So this is to let people know that no matter where you find yourself,
Exactly.
you can determine to excel and just excel.
That's
Like,
right.
even when you had to now eventually work because you had mouth to feed, people to take care, you still put in your best.
Exactly.
Do you get? And that is why when you resigned and went the other route, they were accommodating.
Exactly.
Because you had your track record.
Exactly.
So this is what
Exactly.
I feel like our youth should learn.
Exactly.
That even when it feels very uncomfortable, still put in your best.
Exactly.
Still trying your best.
So I have a question, right? Because I know that recently or some time ago you had a major I don't know if I can call it setback or challenge or whatever on social media, and everybody was dragging you around some domestic issues and all of that. How did that feel for you back end? Forget the social media matters
I mean,
now.
for me, so the whole thing started because I had some domestic issue with my wife, which wasn't, somebody from our side, went to,
so it was somebody else that brought
somebody
it to
anonymously,
the...
somebody just went to put it, and I responded.
Funny enough, I thought it was you. Everybody thought it was you.
The person was actually the one that first, spoke about it, and instead of me probably, the person went
So it wasn't even your wife.
Of course, my wife would not. My wife would not have done that. She won't come online to talk about that. I know. So it was that, that person that from our family, that posted that, that Jarus is a bad person, blah blah. You have some domestic and all of that. Then, instead of, they use an anonymous account. Instead of me to possibly ignored it, and I responded to it with some, trying to defend myself.
You amplified it.
So that blew the whole thing, and that blew the whole thing, which wasn't the best way of life. In hindsight,
you should have just ignored. You should have died.
You should have died or something. So those things blew, and it became a national issue and all of that. And my wife was, all of us, were concerned. My wife never wanted that kind of thing, and I too never wanted it. Of course, in-house, we the headers in the family, the people, the religious leaders, everybody, we settled it within a couple of weeks. But social media people are always looking for something.
Of course.
So all of those. But for me, it was it was a setback in a way, because I had built a reputation.
Within
a
fleeting second.
The whole thing, went back, and everybody started seeing me as a bad person and all of that. But the truth is this, I don't know whether I'm a bad person or a good person or not. I believe that people to judge that, but what I see in all of this is that, of course, I also needed to have worked on, the way I react to some
your
issues.
temperament towards things.
That's a big lesson for me. But at the back end, it was still, people still trusted me. I've done better things since then. I've done better things. So many people have patronized. Some people came after my business. People came after my business. Somebody went to use an anonymous message to go and tweet that the house I'm building should collapse.
You are kidding.
I swear to God Almighty.
Because of this issue.
Because of this issue that is just between husband and wife. Somebody that
should collapse.
So it became a feminist versus
all of
masculine,
that.
It became messy.
And some other people, So that's also something but at the back end, I know that within ourselves we've settled the matter, and for the business,
but the world did not
move on. And so what you try to do is that I try to be who I was. Trying to support people as I always done all my life, information and all of those things. And I think a lot of people who have benefited from my little, generosity in terms of information in the past, came through for me. A lot of people were so disappointed, and they joined the
they showed themselves.
Okay, but the most important thing is that we have moved on. My business is still doing fine, by God's grace. We have expanded into new regions. People still patronize us. The chairman.
So there was no setback in the business.
I would say from a business angle, no. The business continued.
From a revenue
the chairman
angle.
of one of the banks, former chairman of one of the banks, who followed me online. He was on the call with my family at 2 a.m. trying to settle that. All of the chairman of one of the Fugas bank, one of the top 5 banks. It was like, this guy, it should not be Jarus that this thing is happening to. He was on the call with my family at 2 a.m. on that and all of that. After that, he patronized my business.
Wow.
Gave us, have a billionaire, I was con that I should do this. I should do. I mean,
Wow.
So these are the kind of people that know that. I mean, so I mean, it's I would say, I mean, not the nicest of experience.
Yes.
Not the kind of experience you would ordinarily want to have on your CV. But I mean, sometimes
these things happen. So I think this story is similar to Pamela was here, and we're talking to him about his story with the Oyewale thing, and I think this is a bit similar, even though it's different. Yeah. But in terms of how he flipped it, so I'm just trying to zoom on my point because you said looking at it in hindsight. In his own case, he then told us that he had written a response similar to yours, like an impulsive response. I think he said he had already finished writing it.
He was about to press send.
That he just thought in his mind that, why am I? He now deleted it and wrote another thing and said something like, I'm Oyewale, be something funny.
Exactly, just turned the whole thing into like.
And that was how it became. And I think that's a major lesson for people who have significant audience and brand. That mind you, at times, because
and I remember if that was the feedback one of my former CEOs. I mean, in fairness to him, my last company for PwC, the CEO, a very great man, Scottish guy, very brilliant guy. He told me something in our chat when we were having some running issue with that, with that head of department I was having.
Yes, during your exit.
Like, sometimes, don't be impulsive in your reaction to things.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I personally need to work on. I mean, the whole issue also arose because I could probably just ignore.
And that he told you that even before this crisis.
Another conversation. Don't be impulsive, to respond to react some things and all of that. Maybe if you are taking his advice, maybe all of this and all. But these are something. But sometimes it can be a little bit unsettling because you just find it. You want to just explain yourself.
You need to explain yourself. I mean,
come on, what you guys are saying is not exactly.
It's not true.
There are some elements of all of that.
But one thing again, I noticed on social media is sometimes when they have an information, they run with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not sometimes, so it's all the time. If I put it on social media now that God forbid President Tinubu is dead, nobody is going to go and check channels.
Everybody, if you fly around,
immediately people just say it's good.
Everybody, if you fly around,
that's the way social media is now. It's group think. It's mostly group think.
Cares about nobody are fact and all of those things. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody will learn lesson every day. I mean, you can't outgrow that lesson, and I'm sure there's some lessons for me too, and lessons for. But the good thing is that I'm happy with my wife. I'm happy with the family, and I mean, I left her home,
and they are happy with you.
Everybody is happy with her. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
So I know that. I mean, last question for me. I'm sure Pressure probably has one or two. I know that at that time it also involved, your second wife and your first wife. So how is the home front now?
I mean, it's never going to be. So I mean, so the genesis of it was that I attempted to to have a second wife. That was Muslim and Elijah. I mean, my religion permits it, and that was how the whole thing started. And my wife and I, my first wife, we've never had any issue in 14 years of living. Never had any issue with 14 years of living. But when this issue of second wives came up, she didn't receive it well, which is natural for any woman who wants to react. And which I also knew wasn't going to be easy for her because I needed to just placate her. I needed to tell her that, reassure her that don't worry, your space is assured. Nothing is going to happen to you. It's not that one Gen Z badge has carried it, carrying your husband. Nothing that you trust me, you know me. Just trust me. It wasn't easy. It wasn't. I got a couple of other people in the family to speak with her. Wives and all of those things. Some of our friends also got that. Some of our friends who have friends that are second wives also. That are first wife to a polygamous man.
Okay, yes.
Don't worry, this man. Support this man. Unfortunately, the way things work. We had a couple of a couple of moments that were not exactly. We're not proud of it. That both of us, made some mistakes here and there. And so some of our family members heard about what happened, and they posted it online and put up me reacting. I said something I should not have said out of that moment. And
but then you went on to marry the second wife.
Oh, my first, both of them. I have this. It's something that my second wife is in Abuja now. She's in Lagos.
Okay, and both of them are fine.
They're fine.
They're cool.
They're fine. They're cool. both of them. I have second wife in Abuja, I have my first wife in Lagos. I have houses in both places. I have business in both places, so I shot with her. We are full. The family is fine. She's fine. Everybody's fine.
Awesome.
Awesome. My first wife, before I left her home this morning before I came.
So I'm very, very, very excited about this conversation because I'm also very active on social media. And to be honest, many times we realize that we amplify
Exactly.
things that ordinarily could have even
Yeah.
because thank God it turned out well. It could have gone the other way.
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, people could have even. I mean, somebody. I think at that level, people still say, "How did you man? How did you man?" Somebody could have committed suicide because of that.
Yes, now.
Like people could have committed suicide because of that.
Yes.
People could have killed themselves because of that. But at the same time,
In fact, there was a case of a guy who committed suicide for something similar.
Exactly.
Now.
So but ultimately we're able to manage it, and I mean, occasionally people still come talk about it and all of that. But
It's okay.
It's okay. It's like, I mean,
So
does it affect our
so I
individual
think
life? It doesn't.
like because this is something that resonates with a lot of youth because we are right now in the social media era.
Exactly.
Anything can cause anything online right now. So and people are dying from this thing.
Exactly.
So
No,
whatever
I mean,
you're
it's a
going
phase.
through or
It's a
whatever
phase.
is
It's a
trending, I feel people should just calm down.
It's a phase.
You
You
know,
don't
take a
need
step
to.
back
You don't
and
need to
just
terminate your
chill.
life. And I mean,
Don't-
it's a phase.
Yes,
It's a phase. It's a
because
phase.
see how you have
I mean,
come out
Evolved.
you have evolved.
I mean,
You know, you eventually married who you wanted to marry. Your wife is fine. Everybody's fine. The home is
I mean,
fine.
and I mean, one thing that now my wife, I mean, just on a lighter note, now my first, now that I have two wives, I remember my first always says that anytime she wants to beat me for something, I cannot tell her that I don't have money for you. Hey, you don't tell me you have money. You don't have money. You marry so she's using it. I mean, and
That's going to hang on you for the rest of your life.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, buy me this. Buy me this phone. Like, you cannot tell me you don't have money.
You have
that you have money to marry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first wife is also. I mean, and it's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it also. I mean, it wasn't. So it is. I have to have the. I mean, so it is how I didn't manage an aspect of it well.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think
You take your lessons from it.
Exactly.
Took a lesson from it, and here we are today. By God's grace, everybody living, happily as much as we could.
Thanks so much,
I was
Jarus,
going
for
to ask
opening
you
up
that,
to
you
us.
know, that what's your drive, in everything you've been through. But then I remember you have bills to take care of.
Yes, this is not drive, mama. This is not drive. This is not drive, okay, madam. I mean,
So,
precious. I mean, it's always busy. I've got,
Bills.
and I come from a family where our big on not just the immediate family, I have extended family too. They have to support.
I think that's a Nigeria
Exactly.
thing.
It's a Nigerian
You have to
thing.
take care of, I mean,
Black tax.
all of that.
tax,
You know that. I mean,
yes.
and people. The number of text messages that I've entered my phone this morning alone, I can't cancel. So we need to keep pushing, be able to meet the obligations as much as we could.
True.
So all those things are enough to keep me awake.
Keep you going.
Yeah.
Keep you going.
Thanks
that's
so
the
much.
reason why you were strong, even in the middle of everything.
I remember saying, oh boy,
You have
this
to.
deal about guy, stand up, no look with stand up, work and all of that.
So let's just hear from you maybe 2-3 key lessons for young people on social media, young people starting their careers, from your experience that you've shared with us today, for them not to give up. All those your inflection points of setbacks or failures that you flipped, right?
But that's what this this podcast is about, making people
so that we
understand
close on that
Failure
note.
is not,
failure is a stepping stone. Everything.
yeah, I mean, so the first lesson people need to have is that, I mean, resilience, because I mean, it's usually a phase. It can be longer than expected, but it's usually a phase. Okay, look at the time in which
guys.
I mean, look at the time in which I couldn't. I found myself in an environment in which I couldn't, speak
Mingle
English,
with-
mingle with
yes.
people because of my own background, and I felt I was inferior. So I mean, but I flipped it by going the extra mile, trying to whatever I needed to do, doing all of that. The second lesson: sometimes you need to do some things. You need to keep yourself on some things, not because you like them. I told about accounting. I didn't like accounting, but I needed to do it. I needed to learn it simply because that was what was paying my bill. So whatever you find yourself, whatever you are doing, please do it well.
Do it well.
Do it well. Don't trust all the
And
skills you are
trust the
learning.
process.
Trust the process. At the time you come in which you will benefit from it. Ultimately, I think brand is also very important. Personal name is also very important. Okay, and that's what somebody like me. That's what I eat now. Like everything. I mean, I've been doing a lot of things for 15. I'm very active online. Nairaland, I was there since 2007. Facebook. So I've participated in a lot of social media activities, and and I've been able to build this kind of brand that everybody sees this guy who is very transparent, shares information, and all those things. And most times, in the time of errors and mistakes, people look at it. Oh, this guy,
The brand is formidable enough to withstand the shock.
Withstand the shock on the Lord. So you try as much to
But if
build
you
the
had
brand.
built a terrible brand before,
it
should have just exploded.
So these are the kind of resilience. You should try to be resilient. then try to build a good reputation for yourself. I mean, don't be greedy, like, you know, don't want to cheat people. Then be selfless as well. I mean, you know, I try to be as selfless as possible. You know, as much as I share virtual information I have to guide other people, younger ones, you
So
know,
they can
jobs
also
that
come
are
up,
also
yeah.
good, because like I always say, the sky is big enough for all birds to fly
True.
without, you know, one touching the other. So that's my own.
That's
Yoruba
Yoruba proverb in translation.
to helpful to life and kind of some too. So these are the kind of things I've been able to, you know, manage moments of setbacks.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Jarus.
so much.
Welcome.
I mean, we've had a wow moment. You know, thank you for opening to us. Thank you for your time and for sharing, you know, no holds barred. We really appreciate it. And I hope that you'll be able to come back again if we call you again.
I'm at your service always.
Thank you so much, Jarus. Honestly, we can't even thank you enough for the time and for being vulnerable to be able to tell us these things that you have felt, knowing that we're trying to encourage people, and you know, you've just given us your all, and we're grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Well done.
So, guys, thank you so much for listening to our episodes today. We hope you've learned a thing or two. Just always remember that failure is a stepping stone to success. And from Jarus here, you can see, because I mean, behind every success story, there's always a chapter, 2 or maybe 10
challenges,
of failures, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So until we see you again, stay strong, stay resilient.
Yeah, I mean, and be selfless.
And be selfless. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.